Guten Tag, wir sind Maria und Berta.
Und wir studieren an der Pädagogische Hochschule.
Living in Vienna since September.
And we are discovering new things about this city. And we have found that it is more beautiful and interesting than we have expected. For this reason, we have focused our Meet the Glove project on typical Viennese food.
Are you ready to know more about it?
So let's start. In order to get our results, we use these methods. Interviews with restaurants, polls among people of the street of Vienna, local and tourists, the visit of some restaurants and the taste of their dishes, and finally the observation and analysis of food street stands that offer typical food.
Through these methods, we try to give an answer to our objectives, and that's what we've got.
As a general way, the Viennese gastronomy has always been influenced by other countries. Why? Because Vienna has been during centuries the center of the Habsburg Empire, in which different cultures, society, economy, and gastronomy have been mixed. For example, we have the Hungarian country. It is one of the countries which has more influence in Viennese typical dishes, as it is so close to it. For example, one of the typical dishes in Vienna is goulash, which comes from Hungary, or strudel. And the most typical dish in Vienna is a schnitzel, that comes from Constantinople, passing through Venice and Milan, before arriving to Vienna, Austria. Vienna schnitzel has a concrete origin. It comes from Field Marshal Radetzky, who was in love with the Italian cotoletta alla Milanese, and it made him take the recipe back to Vienna in the middle of the 19th century.
However, historical research has shown that the Viennese had an affection for all things fried much earlier. So after knowing about it, we have arrived to the conclusion that there is a relationship between schnitzel with Vienna sausage.
We consider that the cultural exchange that there was in Austria forms part of the history of it. As we said, the famous Viennese schnitzel was first cooked in Venice. In order not to cook the same as Italians, they tried to perfectionate the dish until converting it in what we eat today in Vienna. After talking with Phil Muller restaurant that was opened in 1905, we have known more about the ingredients of each typical dish, and we have also asked for their origin. They told us that they try to pay great attention to the best ingredients. When cooking a schnitzel, they use exclusively the one that comes from known farmers. Furthermore, they have highlighted the point that they give importance on sourcing all of the other ingredients from Austria. It is like their philosophy.
Furthermore, in 1832, the Sacher cake was cooked first by Franz Sacher, but it was thanks to his son, Edward Sacher, that the Sacher was successful in Vienna in 19th century. Although the most part of the dishes are considered typical in Vienna, they wouldn't have existed without the cultural exchange. With all of our research, we discovered which ingredients they use for each dish. For that, we will show you two examples of recipes: schnitzel and goulash.
For cooking a schnitzel, we need these listed ingredients. The schnitzel is made from veal slices and fried in lard until it is yellow golden. The butterfly-cutted meat is pounded flat, salted, and will be then rolled in flour, whipped eggs, and breadcrumbs. It is important though not to press the crumbs into the meat, so that they can easily be softened.
The ingredients for preparing goulash are the following ones. For preparing it, we have to follow these steps. We have to cook onions and flavor it with a tomato paste. Then we have to roast paprika, deglaze it with vinegar, and infuse it with beef broth. Then we have to stew the meat in the soup and season it with salt, marjoram, caraway, and garlic. As we have said, we could say that there is a relationship between schnitzel and Viennese society. In addition, through the streets of Vienna, you usually see some stores that are selling fast food, and the most part of it is right. We have realized that Vienna is a hard worker and busy city regarding the society. For that, we have interpreted that people do not have so much time to lose it by cooking or spending time in restaurants. People won't lose time eating typical dishes when they can eat fast-prepared plates.
After talking with the citizens mainly, we found that people are not sure about the moment of the year that these dishes are eaten. Through that, we have interpreted that if citizens don't know the answer of it, is because the typical food can be eaten whenever you want. We asked which they think was the typical Viennese food that people used to eat in winter and which one in summer. Citizens' answers were many varied and we couldn't find any repetitive pattern.
We asked people through a poll if they thought it would be a good idea to offer this kind of food in schools to preserve it. The balance was more dedicated to the yes than to the no. People said that it would be a good idea because it belongs to the country and tourists or foreign people should also know what is typical apart from the most known things. Most of them agreed on that food is a part of the identity of a culture and nation. Apart from that, we also asked if they knew about any Viennese school that offers typical food in its canteen, and we got a 60% of yes and a 40% of no.
With this information, we interpret personally that this 40% is not engaged enough with the scholar system, and if they had been more familiarized with the schools, the results would have been different. Regarding restaurants, they told us that unfortunately, typical dishes are not normally offered in schools.
They only serve them once a week or so. As well as in our polls, they told us that it should be served more often to keep traditional dishes popular.
In order to contrast this information and opinions, we asked our practice schools in Vienna if they could give us an example of one week canteen menu in schools. As Berta and I go to 2 different schools, we got 2 of these examples. In them, we found that Viennese typical food is offered at least once a week. Usually the most offered one is frittaten soup, as we think it is the healthiest one because of its components. We have found that Viennese schnitzel is not offered, and it is something that has surprised us. We both interpret that it is because of the fat properties it contains. In schools there has to be a control on what children eat, and they try to choose the healthiest food.
Unfortunately, we couldn't achieve this objective because we had a lot of questions to answer. But after knowing about the ingredients of each typical dish, we both think that frittaten soup is the healthiest one, as it contains a lot of vegetables and not so much fat components. So more or less we have known it for the kind of ingredients that the dishes have. We also asked citizens which they thought it was the healthiest one, and they also agreed with frittaten soup. Throughout the other responses we have got, we could get some answers that lead us to interpret that the Viennese food has a wide variety of components. Each dish has its own nutritional and energetic components that differentiate it from the others. We can find healthy dishes in its gastronomy and not that healthy ones.
We asked people that when it was the time to eat somewhere, if they decide to eat in a Vienna restaurant which could offer Viennese food, or if they decide to take fast food or others, such as McDonald's, kebabs, noodles. Our responses were unexpected. We got that the 35% of the interviewed people usually eat Viennese food when it's the time to eat, and the 60% used to eat fast food.
This surprised us a lot because from here we could instantly see that there is a big influence on fast food in Viennese gastronomy and eating habits. But why? We have interpreted that fast food also offers Viennese food, but in a cheaper price and in a faster way. People is always busy and going to a decided place quickly to not lose time. Fast food can be sometimes a good strategy to not lose time cooking, waiting for the food in the restaurant, or losing unnecessary money. We asked to a Viennese restaurant if fast food was affecting them, and the response was, there has been a trend for fast consuming food choices and sadly not spending much time of consciousness and healthy options. However, we believe that there is a current tendency of going back to pay attention on what is being consumed.
So we interpret that people don't pay attention to what is healthier, and also to which are the real healthy ingredients that usually are not found in fast food. We have arrived to the conclusion that people pay more attention to the price than to the quality of the food. For instance, in the center you can find a schnitzel for 60 euros 90, and in the street parade you can find it from 5 euros to 10 maximum.
Finally, we would like to share with you the Viennese typical food we have enjoyed the most eating and doing, frittaten soup.
First of all, you have to boil 2 liters of water with some beef and vegetables, carrots, celery, leek, and fried onions. After some minutes, you have to season it with pepper and salt. Then it has to be simmered for 2 hours.
Meanwhile, we prepare the frittaten that has the same process as creating crepes or pancakes. So we will need these ingredients.
Once we have the pancake, we roll it and we slice it finely.
At the end, you just need to put the cut pancakes inside the soup and wait some minutes until it's done. And that's our successful result.
From our point of view, a good point to start the conclusions would be saying that Viennese typical food exists thanks to its surrounding countries.
Many aspects must be taken into account when talking about food and society. Time and money are two important variables when consuming typical Viennese food.
By this way, the quality and the feeling of keeping food alive and the time of relaxing and taking a break is not as relevant as it should be.
Compared to our country, we have found that it doesn't matter the period of time when consuming typical Viennese food. In Catalonia, we have many typical dishes that have a special season to be consumed, but also that ones that can be eaten in any moment of the year. For example, the snails.
Regarding the school canteen, it is offered typical Viennese food, but normally the healthiest because nutrition in childhood is really important and controlled. When talking about the energetic values of the typical dishes, Vienna food has a wide variety of components, healthier or less healthier, that differentiates each plate from one to another. Each dish is unique when talking about nutritional value. However, we have concluded that fast food has a big influence among Viennese gastronomy, which has repercussions against Viennese restaurants in respect of the price, the time of elaboration, and the dedication.
We consider that this topic is really linked with the specialty,
And that in the future this contrast will be probably increasing.